This video tutorial is explaining how to take your informative essay outline and turn it into an actual essay. Like I said in the last video, you've already done a lot of the difficult work, and so the writing should be a lot easier now that you have this outline. For this task, we're going to look at an actual student essay as a model for our work, and we're going to talk about how to take what you have here and using the Toulmin method, create well-organized, well-developed paragraphs with your writing. So the first thing we're going to look at is the introduction and how to use your topic thesis statement to kind of create an introduction. And in this case, in our topic thesis statement, we defined the Great Depression and we talked about its effects that it had, which really answered the prompt that we had. So now let's look at how that turns into an introductory paragraph. So this is a student sample. During the Great Depression, and let me actually enlarge this a bit so we can see this better. There we go. During the Great Depression, millions of people lost jobs and families struggled to find financial footholds. It lasted for 10 years, leaving very strong memories of dramatically dark times. Throughout these years, people found new ways to cope with the struggles, and interestingly enough, new emotions and belief in the ideals of America. Everybody learned the importance of being resourceful, while also keeping hope for the future and growing more unified and patriotic as a country. So here again in our introduction, we've defined some terms, we've introduced some really interesting language to talk about this, and we've made it clear in our organization what we're going to talk about in the rest of our essay. Okay, moving on, let's look at how we will use our outline and the Toulmin method to create our paragraphs. So we will go back to our outline briefly. In the outline, I said the first paragraph was going to talk about how it made people resourceful. And I'm going to use these quotes from my reading and introduce that into my paragraph as support for this idea that the Great Depression made people resourceful. So let's look at how that works in an actual paragraph. I highlighted things with the Toulmin method highlighting of green, yellow, and red, just as a way of showing how the different parts are working together. So, first of all, we have a transition here, one important effect that introduces that this is the first thing we're going to talk about. One important effect of the Great Depression was how much it made people and families resourceful. That's my claim. Then I go on to my evidence. That quality is largely a part of the memoir Digging In, where a man who lived during the Depression talked about his family's frugalness and how they had to, quote, cut back on everything possible in order to save money. Okay, and as our comment here, our grader's comment, it integrates quotations effectively into analysis. We have our quotation here as part of our evidence or our supporting details. Then we need some more of our own explanation that we're going to add to it. Some of the things they had to cut back on included city water, selling their car, and discontinued purchases of toothpaste, toilet paper, and snacks, just to name a few. We're kind of continuing and adding some more explanation and going more in depth with the evidence that we had. And that's how we're going to use the Toulmin method here. We're kind of continuing and adding more to our evidence. Then we come to our next piece of evidence. They also took care of what they had and listed all the ways they used a cotton cloth, which included using it as a dishcloth, bandage, quilt piece, and more. And then we have some more explanation. These qualities of being frugal and resourceful weren't bad. They taught people to not be wasteful and to spend money on things that weren't necessary. So our evidence is going on for a while here with specific details from the text. We kind of have our two pieces of evidence back to back, and then we have some explanation for both of them. Being resourceful became a part of life during the Depression as a way to help families stay financially afloat. And again, we're connecting our explanation in the Toulmin method with our original claim that this made people resourceful. We'll look at one more paragraph as an example here. More significantly, the Great Depression in a broad sense brought a sense of patriotism and more unity as a country. And if we remember on our outline, the claim for our second paragraph had to do with unity and patriotism as a country. Okay, so that's my claim. And again, we have a transition here more significantly. We're kind of building on what just happened in our last paragraph. Then, this particular writer went kind of out of order. They had some explanation, and then they had the evidence. That's okay to do that. If you're a more advanced writer, you can sort of play around with some of the ordering. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, it's fine to just stick to the original Toulmin method and just have your evidence and then your explanation. Former President Franklin D. Roosevelt enriched his second inaugural address with these ideals. He said that the greatest change he had witnessed was the change in the moral climate of America, and that they were on the road of progress. Another quote of his was, "In seeking for economic and political progress as a nation, we all go up or else we all go down as one people." And this particular person put two pieces of evidence back to back and then had some more explanation. What Roosevelt was implying was if the people wanted their country to go in the right direction, they all had to work together. Then we have some more evidence. Working together wouldn't be hard due to the entire country's new sense of belief in their country, also known as patriotism. And then some more explanation. The United States' stronger sense of unity that came about during the Depression helped citizens work through the hard times. And so this paragraph really well develops this idea of patriotism and unity as a country. And it's using the parts of the Toulmin method. They're a little bit out of order, which is fine, but they still include those parts of evidence from the text and then explanation that goes more in depth about that information. Okay, then we're going to skip ahead to our conclusion. Our conclusion is just supporting the information presented, talking about the significance, talking about the implications of the topic, and really summarizing what's been said in this essay so far. Even though the Depression devastatingly affected tens of millions of people, the way it changed people's outlooks was inspiring. So again, we're talking about addressing the prompt specifically. Instead of tossing a cotton bag in the garbage, people learned to be resourceful and use them as towels and dishcloths. A stronger sense of pride in their country helped them work through the hardships together with patriotism and unity. Above all else, without hope for the future, people would have given up on trying to fix their severely wounded economy. Again, this author is kind of talking about those three main claims here: the resourcefulness, the patriotism and unity, and then the hope that people had for the future. These were the main claims. They're rewording it in a different way to make it more interesting, but they're concluding with a summary of what they've been talking about. These enhanced senses of resourcefulness, unity, along with patriotism and hope were all ways that the Great Depression affected Americans. And again, this is summarizing what has been going on in this essay and really being specific in answering the prompt. Okay, so this essay is really well written, it's really well organized, it uses transitions, it uses strong evidence, and it develops it. It's a really great example. Please go back and look at this essay. You're going to have it posted as an example that you can use for your own writing, and you can look and see what the writer did well. But I think it's important to kind of see that really when you did your outline, you did most of your hard work, and it's all organized now. And you have all your thoughts together, you have all your evidence together. So really it's going to be a matter of focusing on some of your word choices that you're using and your transitions to pull that information together, because otherwise most of the work is already done for you.